Wow, look at this. Oh, this is incredible. Oh, it's such a privilege to see a place like this. This was once packed full of people, bustling, catching a flight, bags, coffee. And now look at it, it's so eerie. It's crazy how a space can go from that, all that energy, to then this utter desolation. Eerie. This is the inside of the abandoned airport that saved Berlin. This massive airport was first built in the space of just 90 days, not by a crack team of engineers, but by a ragtag group of everyday Berliners, average people who found themselves caught up in the first crisis of a war that would go on to define the latter half of the 20th century. What those people did saved countless lives. It saved an entire city. Today, it's undergoing a massive renovation project after essentially sitting empty for several years. But nothing about this airport is simple.
That's a 9-centimeter grenade from 1875.
That's still active now?
Yes, it's still active now.
Oh, that's good to know. So at that point, we're going to step away from the live bomb.
This was Berlin's gateway to the world.
Und sehr traurig. Ich bin immer sehr gerne hier abgeflogen.
Almost 1 million Berliners voted to keep Tegel open.
This is Berlin's Tegel Airport.
The story of its construction is quite frankly remarkable.
When you're walking through here, you feel the 1970s design all around you, most distinctly in the windows.
But it doesn't begin in the 70s. Its origin traces back to the beginning of the Cold War itself. At the end of the Second World War, Berlin was heavily divided. Like the rest of Germany, the city was sliced up for the victors. There was the American section, along with the French, British, and Soviet quarters. Over time, this simply became East and West. The Western Allies aimed to rebuild Germany's economy, but the Soviet Union feared a strong capitalist state on its border. In June 1948, those tensions finally boiled over. The Soviets blockaded Berlin, sealing all roads, rail and canal routes into the west. It cut off 2.5 million people from essentials like food and fuel. The goal was to force the Allies out of the city entirely and surrender all of Berlin to the Soviets. What followed was one of the largest humanitarian and logistical operations in history, the Berlin Airlift. For 11 months, the skies above Berlin were filled with aircraft delivering urgent supplies. One plane landed every 90 seconds at Tempelhof and Gackow airports. Over 200,000 flights delivered 2.3 million tons of food, coal, fuel and medicine. The operation was keeping an entire city alive, but there was one huge problem. The airports couldn't keep up. Tempelhof in the American sector and Gackow in the British sector were never designed for the relentless pace of the aircraft. The Allies began flying in larger Douglas C-54 Skymasters.
Behind me is a piece of history. This is one of the aircraft used in that airlift, now stored here and preserved over at Tempelhof Airport, just across town.
But those planes needed longer runways than Tempelhof could offer, and while Gatow could accommodate them, it couldn't handle the sheer number of them. Every delay risked hunger, freezing temperatures, and civil unrest in West Berlin. The city needed another airport, fast.
The solution was a former artillery firing range in the French-controlled northwestern sector of the city. It was flat, open, and perfect runways.
French military engineers led construction, but it was the German workforce that made it happen. More than 19,000 people, many of them volunteers, worked day and night in rotating shifts. Civilians, local businesses, even students all pitched in. Bulldozers, cranes, concrete mixers, and sheer manual labour pushed this project forward.
It was an absolutely massive effort. The German public essentially building an airport from scratch. It's one of those fascinating construction stories that I just love bringing you guys. It's a story of the power of infrastructure, of how infrastructure has, over the decades and over the years, quietly shaped the world that we all live our lives in. Now, if you've stuck around before to watch the credits at the end of our videos, you'll have realised there's a whole team of people that I've built around me who share the same passion for bringing you these stories, and that a lot goes into making these videos. Not least some pretty hefty kit that means I can always appear in front of you in crisp, beautiful 4K. You're welcome. It all starts with one hell of a processor. Explaining how the world's most complex structures are engineered takes a lot of power, and the AMD Threadripper Pro provides that in spades. The stats speak for themselves. The Threadripper Pro has 96 cores, 192 threads, and 384 megabytes of L3 cache. It is the best CPU for multitasking, so you can switch between a whole range of programs without it sounding like your desktop is about to take off. But it's not just about fast processing. The AMD Secure Processor validates code before it's executed, protecting your system from any unauthorized software. Plus, the AMD Shadow Stack keeps your system safe by checking the normal program stack against a hardware stored copy. It's a key member of my team, and I honestly cannot recommend AMD highly enough. Guys, to find out how the AMD Threadripper Pro can help upgrade your workstation and help you create first-class deliverables, you want to be scanning that QR code on screen or heading to the link down there in the video description. It really is video sponsors like AMD that help us take these videos to the next level, and every time you guys take the time to go and check out one of our video sponsors, it massively helps us here at the channel. It helps us keep creating the great content that you guys watch every week. So please do take the time to go and look at them. We would really appreciate it. Now, let's get back to Berlin. At first, this airport was little more than a runway. There was no terminal, no hangars, barely any infrastructure at all. But it worked.
Western allies showed basically that they were able to keep Berlin alive, and that's why it was such an important event. And it still remains for all Berliners a very important event. Eventually, it was understood that there's a need for a larger public airport at the site of Tegel.
By the 1960s, Tegel began handling civilian flights. But West Berlin was still locked inside Cold War aviation rules. Only airlines from the Allied powers could fly there. A modern passenger terminal was desperately needed.
Now, instead of hiring more established architects, the city instead, quite boldly, turned to Meinhard von Gerken and Volkwien Mark, two guys who hadn't even turned 30 yet. They're in their late 20s. And they're given an airport project of this scale.
They were studying in Braunschweig, and what they did at the university as their last project for their studies was actually an airport. So this was pure coincidence in a way. And then this large competition started in Berlin. And so they said, well, we have experience in planning airports. And they entered this competition and won the competition, and also got the assignment to build this airport.
Their idea was for a bold, modernist and youthful statement in a city that was surrounded by the Iron Curtain. Oh wow, look at this. Oh. Wow. I love my job so much, this is so cool. When this airport opened back in 1974, it didn't just give West Berlin a new passenger building. It completely rethought how airports could be built by focusing not on the planes, but on the cars.
The hexagonal design offered this possibility because you drive here, and it was an airport which was mainly entered by car. Car was the most important form of transport at the time.
At a time when airports were becoming these big, sprawling, disconnected complexes, Tegel brought everything together under one roof. Going from your car to the airplane could sometimes take as little as 15 minutes. But passengers would have parked there, gone through these glass doors on the side here, through to check-in and security, and then across that reasonably short concourse and straight onto the airplane. The main thing you associate with an airport is lots of distance, lots of walk-in. Sometimes you've got to get a train to go between terminals through to where your gate is, sometimes in a different like sub-concourse you have to get on a little train underground to get to. Here, you don't get any of that. And as someone who uses airports quite a lot, I really get the appeal of this.
The heart of the design was a perfect hexagon, each side containing its own check-in, security and boarding gate.
But they took that hexagon pattern and repeated it through absolutely every inch of this building. From the columns like this, which are hexagonal, to the beams above my head, to the triangular design of the ceiling, which when you put the triangles together make a hexagon. Some of the pipe work, some of the steel work. These lift towers are hexagons. Even that staircase behind me here, that is a hexagon. Look. Doing commission for hexagons or something. Even this steel plate here in the floor is a hexagon. Even staircases. I reckon his school teacher said to him, if you keep drawing hexagons, you're going to amount to nothing, son. And he just got his revenge by making a big, fat-off hexagon as a whole airport.
It was also unapologetically functional, a piece of architecture shaped entirely by the passenger experience. The hexagon became a symbol of West Berlin's resilience, modern, self-reliant, and determined to keep moving despite its isolation. For decades, travellers loved it. Even as the layout proved difficult to expand, Terminal A showed the world that airport design could be human-scaled and that passenger experience could be seamless. The airport had quite a few other quirks too.
This huge pyramid behind me was designed for noise protection. They would test out different turbines here, and the shape of the hangar would contain the sound and prevent it from going off into the nearby neighbourhoods. But nowadays, with this being Berlin, they're using it for raves.
Well, raves, club nights, and all kinds of concerts. You can actually rent it out for yourself if you fancy it. It's a far cry from its original purpose, and shows you just how much Berlin has changed in half a century. When the Berlin Wall fell in 1989, restrictions on airlines suddenly vanished. Tegel was no longer an airport solely for West Berlin. Passenger numbers surged. By 2019, it was serving more than 24 million people each year, far beyond its intended capacity of just half the city. As a result, it was overcrowded and outdated, but passengers still loved it. Its speed and simplicity made it a firm favourite. Tegel was meant to close when Berlin-Brandenburg opened, but Brandenburg's endless delays and cost overruns ironically kept it alive for another decade.
What made it really unattractive for the guys running airports was there was no duty-free. That's what I always complained, because you could not bring everyone into the retail area and such areas which are very important obviously for airports nowadays, and also the security levels. One could say it was successful and it worked for an airport, but continued as an economically successful airport, it was maybe not the best.
The airport is now having new life breathed into it thanks to a massive redevelopment plan. But of course, even that isn't without drama. It wasn't until 2004, during a routine excavation for Queen Elizabeth II's arrival, that a British aerial bomb was discovered at Tegel Airport. The find marked the beginning of a systematic, ongoing explosive ordnance disposal or EOD operation led by Alexander Düring and his specialized team.
The beginning of using of this territory was in 1834. We find here from the period big granites, 80 kilograms and more. The military is here working up to the end of World War I.
So those munitions are still dangerous all these years later?
Yes, what we find is completely active. Yeah.
Oh my goodness me.
That's not much.
So what's this one?
Yes, the big one is a quite old grenade, World War I.
World War One.
9 centimeter.
We were quite excited when we started with the work here because we didn't know what we could expect, and we learned that we can expect everything. We have a training site from the German Kaiser, so we find some very old grenades from 1900 roughly, up to the more modern things coming from Second World War.
So what's this one here? The big one?
That's a quite old 9 centimeter grenade from roughly 1870-75.
Goodness me. That's still active now?
Yes, it's still active now.
So is it easy to not notice what they are at
Yes,
first?
you need a lot of experience to see, oh, that might be some item of interest. And then the experience of the senior EOD guy is there and says, yes, give me some minute, I will inspect it and I decide is it dangerous or not.
Oh, that's good to know. So at that point we're going to step away from the live World War I bomb.
So we're using state-of-the-art metal detectors, what you can calibrate on the ground conditions. And then we are working in layers. We are detecting one layer, removing this layer, transporting this material to the separation unit, and then the new layer we are detecting again. So we are going layer-wise down until we reach the target level.
The scale of this project is remarkable. By May 2021, clearance teams had searched more than 22,000 square metres, uncovering almost 900 kilograms of ordnance and some 30,000 kilograms of munitions scrap. Devices ranged from grenades to incendiary bombs. They were carefully transported to Berlin's Grunwald detonation site.
What have they just found here in the ground?
Some pieces of small arms ammunition.
So that's like bullets and things?
Yeah.
This shows you just this bit we've just walked up to just now. They happen to be looking at right here while we're talking about it. They're finding stuff all the time.
Yeah.
The project at Tegel stands as a powerful reminder. Clearing and acknowledging the past is a prerequisite to building the future. Berlin's city planners envision a transformation of the site. The cleared lands are earmarked for several ambitious projects.
Berlin TXL is possibly, I want to say definitely, the most important economic and urban development project for Berlin for the next decade.
The airport itself is set to become a university. Then there's Urban Tech Republic, a cutting-edge innovation and research park.
So the Urban Tech Republic really aspires to be a close-knit community of innovators working in the fields of urban technology, meaning water, energy, but also recycling. And by having those kind of themes next to each other here locally, we hope that people really get to know each other. And we have the Schumacher Quartier, which is the sustainable neighborhood that we're creating with about 5,000 housing units, so approximately 10,000 people who will be living there. It's a sponge city approach, so every drop of water will be kept in the neighborhood, and that makes it a lot more environment friendly.
And a protected landscape that'll have over 200 hectares of preserved dry grassland and habitats for rare species. More than half of the clearance has been completed, with plans extending into the end of 2026. On the 2nd of January 1960, Air France operated the very first commercial flight to Tegel Airport. To honour that, on November the 8th, 2020, the very last commercial flight leaving Tegel was also from Air France. As the wheels of that final plane to Paris left the runway, Tegel Airport had fulfilled its promise.
This was heavily debated because many people loved the airport. So there was also campaigns to keep it longer open.
From an emergency build to a Cold War icon to finally seeing Berlin united and at peace, Tegel was never just an airport. It was a lifeline.
From the very beginning on, when the decision was made to close the airport, was also clear that this site is not going to be pulled down and destroyed, but it has to be developed in line of this historic place.
For someone who loves architecture and construction, who really loves their buildings, and is also a bit of an aviation geek, I like my planes, I like my airports, coming and walking around a site like this is actually quite a hard experience. It's pretty saddening. It's sad to see a building that was so well optimised, so well engineered and so essential to the life of this city. It's strange seeing it reduced to an eerie ghost town. But it also really speaks to the importance of landmark protection and restoration. This building has played such an important role in the story and the history of Berlin. and soon it's going to be helping a whole new generation of citizens. Decades after this airport saved Berlin, the city is now returning the favour. This video was sponsored by AMD. Don't forget that if you want to see the incredible processing power of the AMD Threadripper Pro for yourself, then you can head to the link in the description. And as always guys, if you enjoyed this video and you want to get more from the definitive video channel for construction, make sure you're subscribed to the B1M. That's so cool.
It's your first time?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I won't touch the thing. Oh yeah. Yeah.
You put this left and right.
This is so cool. Let it go.
So when you're here, left and right, then drehst du dich.
No.
Your call, you know.
Okay, thank you. I'm done. It's all good. Okay. Thank you. I got a picture. Thank you, man. Cheers. I got to pick up stuff and drop it. It was so good. I want one. I want one of these. Oh, I feel like I was 5 years old again.